What kind of work were you doing up there? I mean, did you draw or
Well, I did
paint or?
just about everything, which was very good, and which I try to tell my students, because it was just at the point where you should be trying out all kinds of things. And I met a guy who was a jewelry maker, but also a painter, who was very good, who has come to naught because he was also crazy. And he was doing very kind of naturalistic, straightforward things, and I did a few of that. Like the work was totally varied.
Did you work outside though, or?
No. Well, I did. I think once I did a thing because I remember knitting myself fingerless mittens so that I could work in the courtyard of St. Mary's of the Harbor, and I also knit myself little socks with toes, or at least one toe, because I wore sandals. I had the most beautiful feet after those 6 months because I hadn't had a pair of shoes for those 6 months. And that I don't remember, except for that one time, really working outside. I think I did sketches or something. You know, like I'd go out to the beach because someone lent me a bicycle, and I went out to the beach and drew and stuff like that. But I really did sort of everything. And I think the best part of it was kind of having that sense of freedom, you know, because I guess in a way, like I've always been out of it, so I've never been under the pressure, like, to do a particular thing until relatively recently, and then I don't listen anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Were you critical of your work, or did you just kind of turn it out and not study it or make decisions about it after?
Well, I don't know if critical is the right word. It's just that I didn't feel I knew anything, and therefore I tried all kinds of things. Like I did what could be considered straight drawings, and then I did kind of abstracted things, and I did, you know, like because of this guy who's a jewelry maker, whom I sat for, by the way. I mean, he even designed like a little thing that I knitted while I posed so I wouldn't get too bored, and I was making some kind of halter top, and he gave me an idea. I mean, he's a fantastic person, and it's very unfortunate because he was one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life as a jewelry maker and even as a painter. You know, he was just like a magic kind of person. It's unfortunate. In some, well, it's hard to know about things like that, but in some ways it was probably bad that he had such a supportive wife, because it kind of allowed him to be maybe crazier than he might have been if he'd had to pull himself together. But the townspeople, and at that point, like to be not from the town during the month, like even the day after Labor Day, was almost freakish. You know, people used to stare at. Well, because nobody ever stayed. I mean, now it's almost as crowded in the wintertime as it is. Well, not quite, but there are lots of people.
People stay most of the year.
Yeah. And at that point, I remember, you know, I could ride my bicycle and people would kind of stare, you know, oh, there's one left. You know?
What happened?
Yeah, like some mistake has taken place. But they were unbelievable because he really was freaky to the point where his wife said that the Beachcomber Club still exists, and he was invited to belong to them, and all he needed was like one drink to go completely bananas. And he'd go screaming through the street, and the townspeople, who normally were the least tolerant probably of any, well, I don't know about other resort places, but certainly as intolerant of strangeness.
Yeah, resort people always are, I think.
Yeah, but it was incredible because they never did anything to him, like they never threw him in jail or anything. They would just sort of gently suggest he go home or just leave him alone. You know, but he kind of turned me on to working, not by saying anything, but just because I saw some of the things he did, and I tried to do very direct kind of studies of, like, you know, pots or vases or something like that, some of which are not all that bad,